eventually, when the doubts got so strong, when they became so irreconcilable with who the center claims to be and who I now saw for who it was when I found out about Yehuda Berg. It became, there was I can't tell you the year, I suck with the timeline, but it was Rosh Hashanah. I was at San Diego, and there was like an international event, and a bunch of chevre and teachers were there, and the Bergs were there, and they sat all the chevre down, and for the first time, and apparently they knew for years before, I don't know how many years, that Yehuda Berg was engaging in misconduct sexually with certain chevre, with certain students, and all of a sudden something inside me snapped, because I viewed Yehuda Berg as X, but it became obvious that he was Y. And obviously that's like, for many people watching this, that could be like, such I guess an easy thing to realize later in life. And now it's like, it's so easy for me to realize how naive it is to put a person on such a pedestal. When I was young, I didn't have that yet. I was more naive, and I think I was really hopeful that there really were people out there genuinely believing in this stuff and doing the spiritual work. Um, the purpose of this video, it's not to like lash out on Yehuda Berg and do any of that. I'm kind of curious how his own story unfolded and stuff since. But it's like, when you have to realize, I was in this organization, and it's actually, if my memory serves me correct, it's from Rav Ashlag's teachings. He was speaking about how the way you get closer to God, you get closer to your teacher, and the way to get closer to your teacher is by serving your teacher. And here I was, I'm like busting my ass every day, trying to sell and make this organization money, not to mention babysitting their children. I'm cleaning their house. I'm doing their dishes. I'm serving them food. I'm serving them, all in this effort in my head, within my real subjective experience. Very beautiful, very pure, really trying to connect to God. Whether it was for somebody who wasn't representing that, totally different scenario. But when all of a sudden you realize you're serving somebody who is like the opposite of what you're intending to do and trying to do, it's like the foundation of your whole infrastructure of thought is undermined. And all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I serving these people? Why am I serving this organization? It became clear, and in retrospect, it should have been clear for quite a while, that the organization's main interest was money and not necessarily the serving of people. And even upon learning that, I remember I decided on that trip, on that Rosh Hashanah, right when I heard that information, I spoke to Michael Berg, who's a putz, um, and yeah, I decided on that day, I'm gonna leave the chevre, I'm gonna leave the organization. I still stayed there a few months to just like ease myself out of the process, because you have to realize, like, I didn't have contact with the outside world for 7 years. All I did was pray, study, and serve and teach. That's it. That's all I did for 7 years. And I did that during formative years, 19 to 27. So I didn't get a first credit card during that time. I dropped out of college to go there. I didn't get a regular job in the outside world, only within there. I didn't get a first car. Well, I had a first car younger, but I just, I grew a lot. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of intellectual growth, even growth in like ancient knowledge, but there was a lot of worldly growth that was lacking in me. I didn't have a relationship with a woman for 7 years. So there was a certain emotional maturity that was stunted during that time. And when I came out of the organization, I literally remember the day that I left, I puked. I like threw up convulsively so many times in the bathroom, because I was so nervous to go back out into the world that I left for 7 years, that I had very little contact with. Um, and yeah, so how it all came tumbling down essentially was finding out about Yehuda, because it made me realize, like, holy shit, if I was so certain this person was something and they're in reality not, maybe a lot of my ideas, maybe a lot of my beliefs, maybe a lot of the things that I felt so much conviction about, maybe those beliefs were also wrong. And over the next 10 years, so I left the center at 26, now I'm 36. The next 10 years, I would say more specifically, the first 3 to 5 of those years were about untangling a lot of those false beliefs. What many people today would call deconstruction. So like the first 3 years or so, I'm pretty shitty with time, were more deconstruction. Maybe the past 5 to 7, of the decade has been about reconstruction of a new worldview that I believe is solid, that I believe has a solid foundation, because it's built on ideas and beliefs that I've developed from within myself that are not based on other people.